Om Shanti. Good evening, everyone. So again, welcome to Shanti Sarovar for today's Sunday evening talk. And the Sunday evening talk is also one of the regular features of Shanti Sarovar, which happens or which is conducted every Sunday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So we cover a lot of different topics under this series by different various national or international speakers. So if I talk about today's topic, so what's the topic today? You can see this on the screen also, which is habit from mystery to mastery. Okay, so here we are here today to understand the mystery of the habits and how to get mastery on the habits. So for this we have Dr. Ramajayam Bhaiji. So I would like to welcome him onto the stage with a round of applause. So I'll give a brief introduction of brother. So Dr. Ramajayam Bhaiji is MBBS and PhD. He is currently working as a neuroscientist in Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Mandi, Himachal Pradesh. He has earlier worked as a scientist at the Center of Consciousness Studies at Nimhans, Bangalore. He is practicing Raj Yoga meditation for the last 20 years, which is Raj Yoga meditation is something which is taught in Brahma Kumaris. And he is actively involved in managing research projects under the Spark wing of Brahma Kumaris. I earlier talked about different wings. So Spark wing is also one of the wings, which is a Spiritual Application Research Center. So his passion actually lies in combining the best of Eastern and Western approaches to medicine and contemplative practices. So without delaying, I will hand over this to brother and we will listen from him. I hope you all enjoy this time and clarify all your questions. So over to brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sister, for the kind introduction. Good evening, all of you. A little bit noisy, please. Good evening. Thank you. Okay. So today we are going to just have an interaction or discussion which is very interesting, related to habits. If I ask you what is your interest to come over here or to any other kind of spiritual organizations in general, most of the times the answer is, I want to change. I need to bring some change in me. So the moment when we say I want to bring a change, it by default implies there is something very hard deep down and you are struggling with that and you want to bring some change. So it implies that you want to work with your habits basically. So since it is very commonly expressed, that's what we thought, okay, why don't we deal with this core thing which most of the people usually think about when they step into any of the spiritual organization. That's how this topic we have chosen today. I hope this is going to be definitely helpful to you. I'll give you some practical tips also and some of the important understandings which are required, and we'll also do some little bit of meditation as well. Okay. So before I start, I just want to have a small activity. Are you all ready for this activity? Yes, no? No, don't read there. I'm just asking, are you ready for the activity? I will tell you what is the activity. All of you are ready? Yes, no? Still the S is too low actually. Yes. Okay, thank you. So just form pairs amongst yourself, comfortably with whoever is nearby you. Yeah, you can change your place also, it's fine. So the instruction is, yeah, they can stand also. That is also a good idea. Yeah, you can just stand in your place. Let's do this thing. If I can have hand mic, that would be better, I think so that I can also move around. Yeah. So the first person has to make fist like this. I repeat, the first person has to make fist like this. Second person has to open the fist of the first person. Understood? Is there any doubt in this? No doubts, right? Whether anybody of you have done this activity earlier? I hope all of you are honest. Okay. Thank you. So those who have done, please remain silent. Yeah. You can start the activity. Do you want the information once again? First person have to make the fist like this. Second person have to open the fist and then change the role. Yeah. You can start the activity. Yes, yes. Yes, start. If you have done, you can interchange. If you're not able to open, that's perfectly all right, but just to try. You can interchange the role also. Try it both the sides. Okay, fine. Thank you. You can sit down. Even if you have done this activity earlier, that's still perfectly all right, because always there is a message to give for you. So yeah, I've seen some of the people at least were struggling to open the hands. Who are those people? Can you just raise your hands? This side? Okay, this side I think already there are mature people, it seems. So the instruction was very clear. What was the instruction? Yeah. First person just make a fist and second person they have to just open it. There was no such instruction like you should make it tight, you should not allow the other person to open. This was not at all instructed to you, but by default, at least some of you are doing that. Why is it so? Where from this kind of behavior is coming? I'm not getting into the details of these stuff, but just to demonstrate what is habit. I did this activity, nothing more than that. Okay. So now with that, I just want to ask you this question. When do you call any action as an habit? When do you call any action as an habit? Repetitive. Okay. That which happens automatically, repeatedly, where you say, I don't know, then any. Sorry? Routine and reward. Okay, you are looking a little psychological. What is your background? Okay. Fine. Somebody was telling something here. Necessity. Okay. Difficult to stop. Okay. I hope you have not seen my slide. Most of the answers already you people have repeated. Something which is automatic, which you find difficult to stop, or it needs a lot of efforts to stop, where you feel like, I don't know how it is happening, it's just happening. So whenever these elements are there, usually we call this as habit. I'm sure all of us must be having one or the other which fulfills these criterias, whatever I have listed out there. Is there anybody here who says, no, I don't have anything which fulfills this criteria? I don't have any such habits which fulfills this criteria? Is there anybody? Okay. So how long it takes to build a habit or make a habit? How many of you have come across any of these things? I've listed out so many rules. 1, 2, this side, 3, 4, okay, fine. So what are the rules you are aware of? Were you using or you are just aware of?
People who train for Olympics generally, they have to skill a particular thing. So 10,000 hour rule is something that I've heard.
Okay, you have heard. What about this side? 10,000 hours. Any, yeah. 21 by 90. Yeah, 21 days, not 90. Okay. Anybody else have heard of these things? Yes? 20 hours rule. Yeah.
Mandalam, they call Mandalam.
Yeah.
40
40.
days, something, if you do daily, then
Correct.
you will be able to
Yeah.
develop good habits. They will say you follow it for 40 days so that then you can be
Especially in Indian context, this matters mandalam. Yeah, true. So these are all the things that you very frequently come across whenever you want to learn or understand few things related to how to master a particular skill or habit. Though I'm using the word habit, but it's common to many things, like for example, what she was telling, skill. Finally, that's also a kind of memory or a kind of habit. Okay, so I'm using it in a very generic format. Though I'm using the word habit, which most of the times you might be associating with negativity also, which need not be so. It can apply for positive side as well. Okay. How many of you think, okay, all these things are actually right? You? Okay. You? On what basis?
They would have done some research.
Okay.
They would have done some research on X number of people. This thing based on the research and the outcome of the research,
Yeah.
they are trying to share their experience.
Yeah. Yes?
21 days, I read that if you want to get up at 5 o'clock
Mm.
in the morning,
Mm.
do it for 21 days.
Mm.
On the 22nd day, without the alarm, you will get up.
I will get up or you will get up? Okay, thank you. What about here?
There could be some truth because it has worked with some people. They're able to get results.
Okay. There could be some truth. So I'm still not getting any authentic answers. Any other authentic answers?
Yeah, I think right.
Yes?
See, all these things are like they are scientific things. So that means you are observing and then you are recording and doing this. So in science, you are observing the nature, you are observing the people, and then you are arriving at this. To come to any rule, that means they may have taken a lot of samples and then they have done it.
Yeah.
So there can be exceptions, but this is the general.
Yeah, yeah.
Adding to what he stated, collection might be limited. So I tried, something worked out for me. Then I was biased with, I am stuck into that context. So I failed myself, then trying to get back.
So which rule? Which rule you tried and which rule you?
10,000 hours.
10,000.
21 and 90.
Okay.
I was able to bring transformation, then I thought maybe I should not be that biased.
Okay.
I reversed myself back. I'm getting back as
So what was the skill, if you don't mind, if it is something shareable across everyone?
I competed in a competition.
Okay.
Like strict diet, routine patterns, along with
Good.
workouts.
So this I would take it as an authentic answer. I don't know how many days he took, but this is the best authentic answer which I have heard now. So even though you would have come across all these things in many of the different places, whether it is books or any other magazines, wherever it is, or social media, but the reality is actually something else. So this is the only study which is actually available, which tells about how much time it takes to build a habit. Again, it cannot be just like kind of hard and fast rule, even though this is also backed by data. Okay, but compared to this one, whatever we have seen earlier, they are all like just kind of observation, maybe by one single person or maybe few people. Say for example, the first one. So that plastic surgeon, that was his actually close observation with patients. Whenever he did some kind of reconstructive surgery with the patients, say for example related to limb, it takes some time for them to get used to that new format. And he observed certain things. Based on that, he started telling these numbers. But otherwise, there is no proper structured research kind of data to support these kinds of stuff. So the only thing that we have today is this study which tells about 80 into 254 days. Again, this is also not a magical number, but it has some kind of substantiation in the name of data. That's the only thing we can say. What about your common sense? What your common sense says? Now let's put all these things aside. Okay. After all, we are all human beings. Whatever you hear, whatever you see, finally you test by yourself and then you conclude, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. So what does your common sense say?
It's a compelling reason.
Sorry?
It's a compelling reason.
Okay, I am asking in terms of how much time will it take?
It depends.
Okay. I think the most comfortable answer, fine. But it puts me in a complex here.
For example, to learn cycling,
Yeah,
to learn swimming,
yeah,
or to learn driving, I drive, and after some time I achieve skill and I am able to do it.
correct.
These things are possible, but in some cases where I think there is emotion involved or something, then I think nothing will apply. Then
Yeah.
it really depends on. But any skill which doesn't require the mind, like driving
Yes,
a car,
yeah,
riding a bicycle.
correct.
We all learned bicycle. Maybe we would have fallen down a couple of times, and then at some point of time we knew how to balance, and then we got there.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, the key thing is wherever there is some kind of emotional element, it's very difficult to tell the time. Other things, to some extent, still it's okay. But even then, this is what I personally believe. So it can happen even just in a second as well. It can happen maybe over a period of lifetime also. I'll give you examples. This is just a pure common sense, no science, no logic, nothing. Okay. So habits can be formed either by repetition or realization or some kind of intense experience, which can happen just in fraction of seconds also. Are you able to connect with anything? All these three stuff? So these are the examples. The first one is example for repetition. I hope all of you understand what is that. Is there anybody who is not getting what is there in the first message? Yeah. Even though it has the capacity, it won't break because it has been trained like that, right from childhood days. So that's the best example for repetition. What about the other one, second one? That's something related to realization. I hope all of you know the story of Valmiki. Just one single fine day, he understood that nobody is going to share whatever he is doing, the results of all those things. And then the life got completely transformed. The last one, any guess what it could be? Yeah. So this is something related to a disorder. We call it as post-traumatic stress disorder. So as the name suggests, when somebody is exposed to some kind of very severe trauma, maybe just even fraction of seconds, when they witness it with their own eyes, after that, it keeps on flashing back again and again, even though they are not intending to repeat that in their mind. And it becomes very much distressing. When it reaches to that level, then we call it as actually a disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, which is also like kind of memory or habit, if you want to say. Conceptually, everything is similar, even though it need not be a habit. So considering all these things, habits can be made even just within a fraction of second. It's possible. But how it is made, everything it differs. For sure, there is no doubt. Okay. And it can take so many days or years as well. So whenever it is getting made or whenever it is getting built, in general, these are all the 4 different stages it goes through. Initially, on an average, I am saying. First thing is you may not be actually aware what you don't know. That is the first thing, unconscious incompetence. The second thing is you are just aware that yes, there is something lacking. I need to learn, master it. The next thing is about you start to practice deliberately. That is the conscious competence. Last one, as you start to do things in a very deliberate manner, consistently, then it becomes your habit, which is your second nature, where you need not think anything consciously. It just comes like that, automatic, repetitive, and you find it difficult to stop, where you also say sometimes, I don't know how it happened. Okay. So this is also a very age-old model, but still it holds good. And our common sense also says, yes, this is okay. So this is a little bit about a habit, what it is, what are the signs of a habit, and how much time it takes to build a habit. Now I'm going to shift towards another dimension, but very closely related to habit. So before we move to that side, let's do one simple activity. The activity is, it's just an attention game, I would say. After that, we'll do a small meditation also, just 2-3 minutes meditation maybe. So the activity is, we have two things here. One is property, and another thing is personality. This property is something different, not the kind of property that you hold on to. We have three properties: Kushi, Shanti, and then Gyan. What are the personalities? What are the personalities? Louder. Prasannata, Sthirata, Namrata. I hope all of you understand what it means. Right? Okay. So I'll be telling Kushi, Shanti or Gyan, and I'll be demonstrating some actions which are related to Prasannata, Sthirata or Namrata. But I'll be doing haphazardly, okay? We will have one sign for Kushi, Shanti and then Gyan, and the sign will be representing either Prasannata, Sthirata or Namrata. Say for example, Prasannata, you just have to smile. Fine? You have to look at the person who is sitting by your side, and then give a nice smile. Okay? Don't scare them. So whenever I say Kushi, that's what you are supposed to do. Okay? For Shanti, Sthirata. So whenever I say Shanti, you just have to say, do like this. Means you are stable. Fine. Okay? Fine? Shanti? Okay. Last one is Gyan. Whenever I say Gyan, you have to do humble. Fine? Should we do? Can you just get up? So I may not be doing rightly. You are supposed to see me only, okay? Shanti, Kushi, Shanti, Kushi. Faster, you need to do it faster. Gyan, Shanti, Kushi, Gyan, Shanti, Kushi, Gyan. Fine, thank you. This is just to make you active, that's it, nothing more than that, okay? Just some fun in between. So now let's just have a small meditation session, just 2-3 minutes. You can sit comfortably. So it's going to be related to Kushi and then Prasannata. So if somebody is happy, how their face will be? Cheerful, right? So this is the theme. Fine. You can either keep your eyes closed or open, whichever is comfortable. Keep your back straight, but relaxed. Take a deep breath. Relax yourself. Be aware you are inside this hall. Become aware of the sounds, the gentle music. Without disturbing the silence. Being seated at the same place. Make a big circle in your mental screen, the screen of your mind. Hold the hands of the person who is standing beside. In the screen of your mind, do all these things in your mind, not physically. Look at each and everyone in the circle. Let's do an interesting activity, all of us together in the screen of the mind. We all together are going to sow a beautiful seed, the seed of happiness. Let's all come together. Just make little space in the ground, little bit, dig out the mud. Put the seed. You can literally take any seed of a mango, or whichever you wish. Let all of us put the seed together simultaneously and gently cover it with the mud. And in the screen of your mind, come back to the same standing position after you have put the seed. Sustain it with water, light, all that is required. Let's fast forward in the screen of mind. Let's say 1 year or 2 years. And the seed has started growing, sprouting so nicely. Fresh, shiny green leaves coming out so gently. Moving towards the sky. It's growing taller and taller, spreading on all the four sides. Look at the beautiful flowers. The flowers becoming fruits. Touch the fruits, feel it, taste it. This is the fruit of cheerfulness, the fruit of happiness, the seed I have sown. I'll hold on to this fruit and share it with others wherever I go. And that's the joy of life. Sowing the right thing, getting the fruits and sharing with everyone. Whenever you feel comfortable, gently open your eyes. Come back to body awareness. So this is just a simple activity, but you can just practice the same thing either morning or evening whenever you find time, and it will work. How it will work, that's a separate session altogether. I'm not getting into the details of those things. So why I started suddenly talking about happiness when it is something related to habit? Any guess? It's already there in the slides. So there is a strong connection between habit and then happiness. Why? Because as we all know, repeating things again and again in general becomes habit. And why do you want to repeat anything first of all? Why do you want to repeat at the first place? you would repeat only when it feels good to you. Otherwise, you would never repeat anything. So this is the connection between happiness and then habit. So in terms of psychology, we have two terms. One is reward and another one is punishment. Whenever you do certain things, when you feel good, you feel like repeating, which is what we call as reward. When you don't feel good while you're doing certain things, you don't feel like doing it again. This is called as punishment. Punishment not in the literal sense as we all use. When it is not pleasant or when it is painful when you're doing certain things, you don't feel like repeating it again and again. So that's called as punishment. So this reward and punishment, these are the things which are actually at the background of whatever you call as habit or a kind of memory with which you are struggling to do certain things. So unless you understand this feel-good factor, what it is, where it is, and why I am bothered about that, practically speaking, mastering anything is going to be very difficult. You might do, but still it won't be like a kind of interesting, kind of fun thing in our life. It will be with stress and tension because you want something, so you just are trying that. Okay. So if it is like when you feel something good and because of that you want to repeat, and because of that it becomes habit. This logic looks very simple, quite simple. So if this is true, can we just keep repeating all the things that we feel good so that it becomes habit and we all the time can feel good? Can we do that? And in fact, this is how we get into the loop of negative behaviors. Okay. So there are certain things which you cannot actually repeat just because it feels good to you. So what are those things? I'm just going to give an outline. I'm not going to tell the specifics basically because it's very difficult to list out the specifics. So what I've shown here, this is what we call as happiness analysis. There are many things when you start repeating again and again the same stuff, after some point it will actually become counterproductive, which is what we call as law of diminishing returns. The best example is, let's say you like rasgulla. Okay, you have taken already one piece, but you like so much. Okay, let's just try, nobody's seeing, one more. Second piece, again you want to add one more. How long you can keep adding this thing? After some point, you will actually upset your own stomach. The same thing which was actually giving you some kind of good feeling is going to become counterproductive now. So this is in simple terms, we call it as law of diminishing returns. Is it clear? It's used in economics also. This is a very simple law, but it applies most of the times. Law of diminishing returns. So what are those things which usually follows this rule? One of the best example for practical life is related to money. Because many of the times people think money is something which can give us happiness. I'm not telling about you, but this is the general mentality which many of the people had initially, and even now also many people have it. And with this mentality, people in the West, especially US and European countries in 1900s, when Industrial Revolution was happening, they thought happiness means you need to have the capacity to get whatever you want and then you have happiness. This is the simplest logic with which they started working. In fact, they worked very honestly for this. What is the proof? You see here the GDP. Because their calculation was, if you have enough to purchase, then you can get anything and you are happy all the time. So there is a steep rise from 1950s onwards up to 1987 in GDP. On the other hand, what is happening with life satisfaction you can see here. Despite a steep increase in these things, this is just a flat thing. On the other side, if you see here, they are actually oppositely connected. When there is more money, love is lesser, and when there is less money, there is more love. This is the reality. Once people started realizing this, that is where meditation, yoga, all these things actually kick-started. In 1970s and 80s, I'm talking about the West. India, it's a different story altogether. Okay? So just like money, there are many other things. Anything that you put in a physical framework, and when you feel, it's like giving me some sort of good feeling, and because of that you want to repeat it again and again, it will definitely follow this law. And finally you will end up with pain and sorrow in the name of habit. You cannot escape this. This is the reality. So in this context, if you really want to master habit, you need to understand something in a very, very practical way. What is that something which we are going to analyze by ourselves now? Whether any of you have attended any of the sessions, my sessions earlier here? Okay, thank you. Because it's a repetition for me. I'm just going to ask you one question. What is this? Backside, please. What is this? This side? You can directly interact here because it's a simple question. Not a complex exam question. What is this? Mic, okay. I'm going to ask the same question now. Suppose somebody comes, for them, in their vocabulary, there is nothing called as mic. What is this? A device which can make sound, okay? What is this then? Which amplifies sound, okay? Any other answers? Mouthpiece. Okay. Sorry? Speaking aid, okay. Sound? Sound communication. This is also making actually. So now, by default, what you have started to do is you have started to describe this thing. It's like tree is there. The word tree itself is not tree. You agree, right? That's what I said as, there is nothing called as mic in the vocabulary of that person. What is this? Then you started describing. So it will have a stem, and then there will be green things, and then there will be some balls like fruits. What are these things? These descriptions, again, they are actually not tree. They are just only descriptions. So again, coming back to the same question, what is this? If mic is not actually this thing, and if the descriptions are not actually this thing, then what is this? It still exists, right? What is this? That's already over. So when you say that, it's a rod. There is one more rod there also. There are so many rods actually with some covers. Yeah. You started to think in the right way. So what I want to convey, the important message here is, anything and everything in this universe has three stuffs: name, form, and then the actual stuff itself. Names are just labels, that is not the stuff. The descriptions, again, they are details, that is not the stuff. Beyond these name and then descriptions, the actual stuff is there for sure. Let me come back to human context with the same idea. Suppose if somebody says, I am doctor today, you just go back, let's say 20 years. Was I there? Doctor was not there. Whether I was there 20 years back? I was alive. Yeah, okay, thank you. So like that, if you go retrospectively, again, let us say another 20 years, when I was just born, let's say. Don't try to guess my age. Maybe there was not even name also. But still, was I there? Whether I was there or not? Yes, no, don't know. I was there. Who was that? I think there are some masters here. Who is that then? There is something beyond this physical framework which is actually existing in reality, which is not connected with the labels, not connected with the descriptions, which is some pure existence. Whatever the name you want to call, whether you want to call it a soul, atma, psyche, doesn't matter. So when I was telling about law of diminishing returns, suddenly why I jumped into this concept is, there are only two stuffs. One is all that is visible, which is all related to your name, the labels, descriptions, all those stuff. The other thing is the actual stuff, even though it might be very solid, but very abstract as well. Because I am alive, and that I, which I was asking you repeatedly, who was that, still we do not know actually what is that. But it is still there for sure. So it is in that sense I was telling, though it is solid, it also looks very abstract as well. So we have only two steps. One is something very, very solid, physical, which is visible to you. The other thing is something which is very abstract, but very real as well. So whenever you are dealing with something which is visible, solid, whether it is this body or something related to this body, food, whatever it is, and you feel good, because you feel good, you start repeating the same thing, you are going to end up with same that diminishing returns. On the other hand, there is something else which is completely invisible, but still very real. That also can be the source of the same happiness or joy. How I'll tell you. So if you start dealing with that stuff itself directly, there is nothing called as law of diminishing returns. It is going to be multiplying returns only. And in that context, when that stuff is interacting with the physical body or related elements, whatever it is, then you know how to manage this thing called as habit. You know how to sustain this thing called as happiness, and you become a master. I hope I'm making sense, or you are already somewhere else. Is it clear? So that stuff which I have been telling, abstract as well as very real, and that is you, and that you is the real source of all the happiness, all the joy, whatever you are looking for, including the willpower which is required for you to bring some change in the name of habits. Is it clear till now? So why is it very important? Because if you do not understand this fundamental logic of happiness and then habits, but still you need to do something, then what will you do? You will replace with all the other kind of rubbish things, which will take you towards that same falling down. What are the other alternatives that will by default fill by itself? One is food. Another thing is it could be social media, or it could be drugs. It can be anything. And practically speaking, in the context of habit and then happiness, there is no difference at all between any of these things. All are just one and the same. Because it's all about, I feel good, I want it again. I feel good, I want it again. It can happen with food, it can happen with social media, it can happen with drugs, or it can happen with any of unnecessary waste thoughts also, or some images, or some events, or some people. It can be anything. So when you are entering into that kind of vicious cycle, then never think of mastering the habits. It's never going to happen at all. Because you are entering into a place where you have no idea where is the end. It's a very, very deep, vicious cycle.
You say thoughts will not lead to that.
No, I said in fact thoughts as well in the list.
Yeah, because how you interact with thoughts, but thoughts will not take you there.
Yeah, agreed. So whether it is thoughts, whether it is words, or whether it is any actions, any of these things which are oriented towards, which are directed towards that actual stuff, the pure existence, is sustainable without any vicious cycle. That's what I mean. On the other hand, if you are just running behind something which is visible and that gives you some kind of feel-good factor, that can end up anywhere if you do not move in the right direction. So that's the point. So in fact, most of us are actually moving towards this vicious cycle these days, knowingly or unknowingly, for many reasons. So if you cannot get the basic fundamental logic of what is this habit and then happiness, entire humanity is already suffering, and we are going to suffer more, because wherever you go today, at least 50% of the people all over the world, they go through at least one or the other mental health related problems at some point in their life for sure. And it is just exponentially growing like anything. Social media and many other reasons are there. But if you can understand the logic, what we have been discussing till now, definitely it will give you some kind of hold, some kind of grasp for you to master the habits, to regulate your habits. So what happens basically behind all these kinds of habits or rewards is, we have three important brain regions. Don't bother about the names. There is one here in the stem part, another one here, and then another one here at the frontal part. So this is the region from where some chemicals in the name of dopamine that gets secreted, and that acts on this region, which gives some kind of kick or pleasure. And it is the duty of this frontal portion to manage these things, either to stop or to start. So when especially this frontal portion works in an haphazard manner, then everything is going to be out of control, and that is where you say, I don't know how it happened, I don't know how to control this. So to bring control, one way to manage or to keep this portion healthy is something to directly work with that consciousness or soul or atma, whatever the thing you like. If you can do something related to that particular stuff itself directly, say for example meditation or some kind of deep reflections, giving some time for you every day, all these things can definitely help you to have some hold on what is going on here. Otherwise, for us, as long as we are into this physical body, this also has some role. Otherwise, this will not be there only in the human body. So it has some role. I'm not getting into those details. But the other side of the same sword is difficulty in mastering the habits or regulating the habits. So if you want to really regulate, you need to keep this thing healthy. And the best way to keep this thing healthy is give some time for yourself. Whatever the way you want to give it to yourself. Giving time for yourself, it's nothing like going to office, I'm earning money. Not that. That is for something else. I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey. Okay? So, in the name of sustainable happiness, these are some of the things which I would like to give it to you. It can be related to your work. Of course, this is also like a kind of double-edged sword where you say something related to workaholics as well. But I'm not talking from that perspective. Yoga, karma, karmashu kaushalam, we say. So perfection in action, that is also a kind of connection to the own self. So I'm talking in that context. So if you can strive to get some kind of perfection in your work, that is also a direct connection to your own self, where you will not end up with that vicious cycle, the law of diminishing returns. Other thing is helping somebody who is in need, having some kind of nourishing, sustainable, trusting relations, and of course, meditation for sure. So these are some of the things which can help us to experience this thing called as sustainable happiness. Because this sustainable happiness is the key for you to master any kind of happiness, habits. Because at the background, what is there? This feel-good factor is the key thing, and that is related to happiness directly. So these are some of the tips what you can do if you want to transform your habits. This can be practiced as a separate session for at least 30 to 40 minutes, but I am just giving you a lecture on this thing because of time. So the logic of this is, if you want to change anything, first thing is you need to learn how to relax yourself, including the physical body. There are many techniques, but the idea is first thing is you need to know how to relax yourself. So once you start to relax, then only you can see yourself clearly what is there lying down deep. If you are able to see what is there deep down, then you can consciously plant something what you want basically. But the important thing here is you need to relax first. Second thing is you need to identify what you want to change. After relaxing, when you have identified what you want to change, then you can plant something which is required. The principle behind this is there is something called as law of reciprocal inhibition. This is actually a psychology related term. What is this reciprocal inhibition? It's nothing in simple terms. Before you want to tell somebody that this is not right, what you need to do? You need to follow the sandwich technique. First thing you tell something good, then you tell what is not required, again end up with saying something good. So this is the sandwich technique. But the thing is you need to do it for yourself. What is that? First relax yourself, then identify the thing which is actually pricking you, which you want to change. After that, plant something good, positive. If you directly try to jump inside, try to see what is there, I want to change this, I want to change this, you would actually do the other thing. You would only reinforce the same existing negative thing, you will never change it. The more and more you repeat a particular kind of thought, what you are doing basically, you are generating habit. This is not going, how it will go. What is it basically? You are actually strengthening the existing negative habit only. So that's the reason why I told, first relax, the first part of the sandwich. Second thing is then you identify whatever the thorn that is there deep down which you want to take it out. After that, put the thoughts which are related to what you want. Then things will start to work as you wish. Otherwise, unknowingly you will be reinforcing what is not required rather than what is required. So this is something very, very subtle, but this is the reality related to bringing transformation. So that's all I wanted to share with you. Let me just see if we can play this. Audio can it?
आत्माओं की दुनिया में थी विद्यमान, परमेश्वर परम पिता के संग शांति का था वो जहान। अनंत शांति के बीच रहते फिर एक क्षण मेरे भीतर एक हलचल सी होती है और अपनी भूमिका अदा करने को चल देती सुंदर धरा पे चेतन ज्योति है। नई नई वसुंधरा, संपन्न सुंदर सब हरा भरा। मैं भी हूं बिल्कुल नई, संपूर्ण और शक्तिमान। मैं प्रकाश पुंज हूं, था ये बोध और ज्ञान। और समय गुजरता जाता है, देह के भीतर रहते रहते एक परिवर्तन आता है। अब मैं पहले जैसी नहीं शक्तिमान, फिर भी हूं संपूर्णता के निकट और समान। इस धरा पर कुछ ही समय बीता है, मुझे अब भी अपने सत्य स्वरूप का ज्ञान है कि मैं सत्य हूं, मैं नूर हूं। शरीर के माध्यम से मैं चेतन आत्मा स्वयं में निहित शक्ति का आनंद लेती हूं। मैं आत्मा शांति, सुख, स्वास्थ्य से भरपूर हूं। फिर से परिवर्तन आता है, मैं स्वयं को भूल जाती हूं, खो जाता है स्वयं का ज्ञान और निर्मित होती है एक एक करके असत्य पहचान। मैं अपना झूठा स्वमान खड़ा करती हूँ। संपत्ति, प्रतिभा, धन, सौंदर्य, बल से और मेरी पहचान जुड़ जाती है झूठ के तल से। बस इनसे बन जाती है मेरी कहानी। मैं आत्मा बन जाती हूँ दे अभिमानी। इस परिवर्तन का सबसे बड़ा प्रभाव मुझे दुख का अनुभव होने लगता है। तुलना और प्रतिस्पर्धा में जीवन खोने लगता है। परम शक्ति, संपूर्ण शक्ति की जगह मेरी शक्ति आदि रह जाती है। मेरी असत्य पहचान ही मुझको अब सुहाती है। जिस सुंदर संसार में मैं एक समय थी पधारी, विभाजित होने लगा और जन्मी भाषाएं बहुत सारी। नई विचारधारा, नए मत अब उभर कर आते हैं, जिससे सब दुख दर्द मत भेद में थोड़ा आराम पाते हैं। फिर भी ये संसार पाता दुखों में विस्तार, और इस समय में आकर मुझे पूर्णता भूलती अपनी सत्य पहचान। सत्य आत्म स्वमान का स्थान ले लेता है दे अभिमान। सत्य स्वरूप खो गया जो शांति, पवित्रता, शक्ति, विवेक, प्रेम, खुशी और आनंद से बना, और अब मुझ में काम, क्रोध, लोभ, अहंकार, अलबेलापन, आलस बढ़ा और घना। कठिन घड़ी, दुख, अशांति और बढ़ी। मेरा अस्तित्व परिवर्तित पूरी तरह से दैहिक हो गया। मैं अपनी शक्ति से हो जाती हूं संपूर्ण खाली। सत्य छिप गया, असत्य पहचान ने जगह बना ली।
You can pause it. Are you able to connect with what we have discussed? The entire mic analysis thing is nothing but the same thing. So when you connect yourself with the labels, the descriptions, everything, that is where the walls are being built. That is where all the vices also begin. So if you can go back to that inner childhood stage where everything was fresh, pure, innocent, then you can gain control over all the things that you have. And that's the message of this video. That stuff which is beyond the name, which is beyond the form, that is you, and that is where the control lies. Control for all the kinds of habits which you are struggling to bring. Fine? So we'll just do only one promise today. After that we'll close this session. Promise is, all of us, you have sown the seed, right? What was the seed? Happiness. Did you see the fruits? What was the fruit? Cheerfulness. Okay. So there are going to be so many other obstacles which will definitely prevent the tree to grow further. Every day what you are supposed to do, before going to bed, look at the tree, see whether the fruits are there or not, whether the tree is growing or not, or it has completely gone. Fine? So if you're able to do that, that would be the return for this session. And you would be able to do that if you're able to go back to that inner child. Beyond the name, beyond the form, connecting with your own core self. If you can connect, then you will definitely see the tree, fruits every day. Fine? How many of you are willing to do this promise? Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Such a wonderful, informative session with lot of insights. You all understood how we can master our habits. Yes? So when to start that? Today, now, so that we can become masters of our habits. So what is the technique to remember easily? What is the method he has given us? For our own selves, for others also. Sandwich method, right? So with lot of love, we have to change our habits. Then only we can become masters over our habits, right? It is not hard and fast we can do, or we can treat our own selves with lot of love. In meditation, that is what we do. We are connecting with our own selves and connecting with the Supreme so that we can change our habits. That is the takeaway message which Brother has given. Thank you very much, and we look forward to see you more and more in Sunday evening talks and to learn from that neuroscientist perspective. It is not just spirituality speaking, but it is science speaking, right? So thank you once again, Brother.